What's going on, everybody? Today we got ourselves a little bit of a different kind of video, and today we're just going to talk about some real football for a little bit. I know we do FIFA on this channel, of course, but I kind of want to get into something like this. I'm not sure what yet, but today we can just talk about a little bit of stuff. Today we're just going to talk about Tottenham here now. Tottenham the other day, we're beating at home, 1-0 to United, and that's not what we're really going to talk about. The game, it was back and forth. De Gea made some unbelievable saves. Rashford scored the goal after Trippier gave the ball away. He did that 3 or 4 times. He had a bad game, but and that was really it. But there are different implications and different things we're going to talk about today, and we're going to talk about mostly what happens if Tottenham don't reach 4th, or what could happen, worst case scenarios here. Because there are a lot of rumors been going around for a while about Harry Kane, Eriksen, Pochettino, and will they be amplified? Will some of them leave? Will all 3 of them leave? What will happen once or if Tottenham are beaten to that Champions League spot by United, and Chelsea get in there too? So in this scenario, Tottenham finish outside the top 4. It doesn't matter who really beats them. It could be Arsenal, though I don't see it too much with Arsenal. United are the one on the roll, and new manager kind of thing. As long as the feel-good factor is going, it could keep going. But we're just going to talk mostly about what happens should Tottenham finish outside the top 4. Okay, so Tottenham are 7 points ahead of United, which is a big gap. And as we were talking about, this is definitely a worst-case scenario kind of situation here. It's a pretty big gap as it is, but we're going to focus, as we said, on the worst case. So in this scenario, Tottenham are beaten to 4th. We're going to say by United in this case. Just by United, because United have been playing well. Arsenal have fallen off a bit. They're both level on points, so we'll move forward this way. Now, there have been rumors of Eriksen leaving for Real Madrid. There have been some rumors with Eriksen being Real Madrid's top target. And I do say rumors, though. Some of the places, I normally listen to Sky. Sky's normally really good with their sources whenever, not necessarily all their transfer gossip, but whenever their sources, or when they put up one of those articles that say sources or whatever it is, they're normally right on the mark. Most of the time, those things tend to happen. ESPN is also okay when they do those articles that say their sources. They're not as accurate as Sky is, I would feel. But they still get a decent chunk of them right. And some of these sources have been saying, or some of these sites and things have been saying, that Eriksen is Real Madrid's top target, which it's difficult for Tottenham. One, because the owner, one has his wage structure, which is a mess. Well, not necessarily a mess, but it's a mess for a top club. Alderweireld, who's ready to walk out the door, had his contract extended by Tottenham. It wasn't extended mutually. It was extended by Tottenham. They had their little clause in there that they could extend the contract by a year. I believe his release clause at the moment is £25 million, which is not too high, and I feel even if they didn't get a bid in over the summer or even in January, that covered that. I think he'll wait till he was free in the next January and go, or at least talk to other clubs and be ready to join a club come the next summer anyway. He's been talking about his wages for a long time. He wants to get paid like one of the top center backs. He's a really good center back. But you see with his saga that players are ready to hip hop and get out of there if need be to get that payday. And when you have really big players like Eriksen get called by, say, Real Madrid, and they're going to triple your pay or whatever it may be, they give some astronomical wages out. It'd be tough not to listen. One of the best clubs in the world, of course, and it's just tough not to listen. Harry Kane's also been linked with United for a long time, and Pochettino's been linked with United and Real Madrid for a long time, and Pochettino's the one I think is most likely to go. I think if I were to put it in order from those 3, I think I'd go Pochettino most likely, and then Eriksen, and then Kane. There's something about Kane. I think he'll stick around regardless. Even if Pochettino ended up at United, I think he'd stick around. But those are obviously just rumors. But if Tottenham were to finish 5th, say, and the money doesn't come in from the Champions League as they would like it, sure, they make enough money as it is, but that's a nice little incentive there, a good chunk of money. I have a hard time believing that they're going to bring in enough top talent to compete for a title again. Sooner or later, they have to compete for the title. They finished 2nd last year, or did they? United finished 2nd last year. Bro finished 2nd last year. It was a couple years back. They were up there for a long time, and then they fell off a bit toward the end. But they're always around. At the moment, they're kind of around. They're 9 back of Liverpool, and I kind of feel that'll fall off a little bit with Son gone and Kane probably out for a bit. There's just not a lot of depth, I feel, especially up front. Llorente's okay, but I'm not sure he does enough. And Jansen, I don't like at all. I don't think he does anything. So it'll be difficult for them to, keep pace, and that's why we're having this conversation, because a month gone, that's 7 or 8 matches. Excuse me. 7 or 8 matches without Son, without Kane. It's a difficult stretch. They got a Champions League game in there as well. It's tough, and it'll be tough for them to keep up, and that's why we're having this conversation. But if they do finish 5th, and Eriksen gets wooed by Real Madrid, and they don't back Pochettino. I mean, Pochettino the other day was talking about how you can't compete at the top unless you buy players every window. And I mean, not every window, but he was more or less making that point, and he's absolutely right, especially nowadays with the money flying around. Levy, I believe, is at a point where if he doesn't sell the club and doesn't change his wage structure as it is, then he's in danger of letting Tottenham fall off a bit. If he doesn't back Pochettino, say, for the summer, or there's that gap between the end of the year and the summer where they just can't figure it out, and Pochettino doesn't get any of the players he likes and things of that nature, or he doesn't feel he's going to get any of the players, he may want to leave. And I feel, if I had to guess, I think that's going to happen. Whether that's why he leaves or not, I get the feeling he's the one who's going to leave. Eriksen, we'll see. Harry Kane, I don't think is going anywhere. But Eriksen, you can see he missed a couple games earlier this year, and they weren't that good. He makes Tottenham tick. He really does. All you have to do is watch a game with him, watch a game without him. It's two different Tottenhams, 2 completely different teams. And if Eriksen were to go, Pochettino were to go, you have to wonder where Tottenham could end up. I mean, just losing those 2, a manager who's done way above what other managers may have done in this situation with no backing in the summer. It doesn't look like anything's going to happen in January by the looks of it, especially now that Kane's hurt. Doesn't look like Llorente's going. I don't think Jansen would go. He'd need another striker. He'd need 2 at least while Kane's gone, I would think, especially with 7 or 8 games in a month or whatever it may be. I don't think any of them are going, and that'll be no activity in a summer and a winter window in succession, which is, it's difficult to deal with. Their squad isn't super deep. I mean, they've got depth in places. They've let Dembele go just now, a day ago or whatever it may have been. He's having his medical in China. So it's thinning. It's not deep to begin with, and it's thinning as it goes. And if they fall off a little bit and Pochettino's had enough, just Pochettino and Eriksen leaving could set Tottenham back 3-4 years. It really could. You could be on the verge of 2 or 3 players coming in and really challenging for a title. I don't know if they're going to challenge this year. I think the challenge is come and gone. 9 points for Liverpool, and then it's 5 to City, 5, I believe. And they've just lost Kane, I believe, for a month. Or that's what the reports are starting to say, at least. And then Son is gone in Asia. Those two are definitely difficult to replace. They're two of your main attackers, and they're both gone, and they don't have a ton of depth behind the two. And you just feel they'll fall off a little bit. And I don't think the challenge will come. But you're on the verge of challenging, and then, say, losing Eriksen, Pochettino, the manager who's done it all, and then falling into this limbo, say, that Arsenal are in, I would say. I consider Arsenal being in a limbo like that, where it's just been 4th for a while, and just outside of 4th. You could see Tottenham falling into that kind of area, and you have to worry about it. Now they've got to do something with the wage structure. The wage structure itself will keep people or players, big time players, from coming. It will. And you can do the young players and bring them up and make them better kind of thing. But eventually that just stops working. With Southampton, they grew too big for the club, and then they sold them off, and it eventually caught up with Southampton. Now Southampton have been fighting relegation for two years now, fighting again this year, and eventually it just stops working. That system, while nice, and eventually if you hit everything properly, like Southampton did, where you hit all the players right, they had Mane there, Van Dijk there, and they pulled in all this money from Liverpool mostly, but plenty of players that have come and gone, and then eventually you get put in this area because you haven't been able to keep any of them around, and you don't always, all your transfers, all your buys don't always work, and eventually that just catches up with you. So if big players, Eriksen, Kane, whoever, leave, per se, well, I don't think they're both gonna leave, but per se they leave, and then your team just gets a little bit worse, and then you bring in a young kid, someone who's under the budget, someone who's within the wage structure that holds them back, I feel. And then he doesn't turn out to be another Eriksen. Then you've lost time there. It's time at this point. It's time. They make enough money where I feel that if someone came in and didn't become Eriksen, they wouldn't feel awful. But on the pitch, it hurts, and it just slows everything down a little bit to a point where it takes a year or two to catch back up to that point. And Pochettino, of course, is just as important as any player you've got there at the moment. It's a dangerous situation I believe Tottenham are walking into. I really do. And if I had to make a prediction now, I think Pochettino will leave, and I think the two players will stay. But I don't know who will come in and out. Alderweireld, I believe, is gone. They'll need another center back, I think. Another midfielder. Another winger, I think. Jansen and Llorente, I imagine, will be out soon enough. Another striker. But how much quality can you bring in at such a low price these days? A couple years ago, it's different. They bought Son in for rather cheap, if I remember. Eriksen was pretty cheap when they bought him in. Kane came through the system, I'm pretty sure. Lucas was rather cheap. He was cut price. So it's definitely nowadays, with the way money's been being spent, the wages, the agent fees, you have to wonder if he'll stick to his wage budget, and if he does, how long will Tottenham stick around these top 3 spots? Yeah, I'm not sure how much more into detail. I just wanted to talk about that today because while I do play a lot of FIFA, I do watch a ton of soccer, or football, whatever you want to call it. I call it soccer here mainly because we have football too, and I can't say both when I'm talking to another American about it. So it's kind of difficult to call it football when I'm talking to you guys, but I do watch a lot. I am a Liverpool fan. I'm not a Tottenham fan. I know I'm doing a Tottenham career mode right now, and things of that nature on my channel, but I'm not a Tottenham fan. But we were thinking about it. Me and my dad, who's been watching football for how long now? 50, 60 years. So it's been around a while, and we were talking about it, and we were just, I don't know. That's what my feelings are on the topic, guys. Let me know in the description or in the comments down below how you guys feel, where you think this could possibly end up. In the worst case scenario, of course, should Tottenham finish outside the top 4. Even if they do finish 4th, I kind of get the feeling Pochettino's gone. But just let me know, guys. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel. But that's going to be it for now. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more. And peace.